Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Back again like a bad penny.
Back in the saddle, dude.
We're back. Yes, again. It's busy out there, guys. So, this one was a great one. Another one that is talking all about the consciousness change that's going on the planet. We just did this one just moments ago. And then I was just jumping back into getting another video ready. And then I saw something that grabbed my attention right away, because this is something that the guides had talked about last year. The first time they mentioned it was shortly after, they mentioned it shortly after the December of 2022 revelation of we have a year and a half. For those that follow our channel, I know because I see in the comments, you guys understand and listen to us, because we have been accurate, but really it's not us. We're just channels for the information coming from the higher densities down to you guys. That's really our entire purpose, is just to relay messages to you to prepare you for these times. So you see over 1 million people in Ukraine without electricity, 6 people injured, 3 missing due to Russian shelling in Zaporizhia. Why that's so important is that this is where there is a nuclear power plant, which the guides started to mention going back into 2022, right after they gave Cindy that vision of basically what looked to be volcanoes going off in the Pacific Northwest and war on U.S. soil. And they never do this, but they literally wrote down 1.5 years, which would take us, if you go from December into this year, because this is now 1.5 years from around December 7th, I think, is when they gave us this information. Then we're looking at the May-June timeline of this year. So we are very, very close. And then they were talking about the fact that the power structure wants to create a nuclear issue using this particular power plant, as they are not going to be allowed by the Galactic Federation. And I know, there's some out there that don't believe there is a Galactic Federation, but there's a massive buzz about the Galactic Federation. There's others that are giving information which is coming from the system and causing confusion with Galactic Federation of Light, Galactic Federation of Planets, of Worlds. It should be obvious, just like the Wikipedia is there about climate change. Wikipedia is about, speaking of Wikipedia, is about Anunnaki, reptilian humanoids, that you're going on subjects that are very important when you start getting these wikis. Yes, so this YouTube saying we did this 9 months ago, I think it was closer to a year ago, and this was talking about Ukrainian dam catastrophe, and also the possibility of just a horrible nuclear meltdown if they target this plant. And again, strikes have happened now. But we were mentioning a few other things, which I want to just bring this up to show you how our message has been very, very consistent. Massive catastrophe as this floods through. This happens to be in the area that could end up affecting that power plant, that NUKE power plant that we've been talking about, that the guides have said that they're just targeting this one way or another, because ultimately, they want to make this area a no-grow zone. There's going to be no-grow zones, no-go zones. And yeah, it might look like there has been a NUKE war. I do think they will, put it out there that there's been some sort of limited exchange. And, you're no longer allowed to go to these areas. And these certain areas across the globe, different countries, will be off limits. And this is part, again, of the plan. Well, you got to go over here now. So everybody's going to be pulling up, mass migrating into these cities where there's absolutely no privacy. So as you can see, this sounds like we're saying it yesterday, but this was, almost a year ago. And, And this is why, we do have you guys that follow us all the time, because the message has been consistent since the beginning of this and the other channels. Here you see eight Russian missiles targeted Dnipro Dam in Zaporizhia this morning. This is really a very scary escalation. So the main power lines to this dam, there are reports that it's out. So, the real threat of some sort of nuclear meltdown is becoming more ominously likely. Again, put out your prayers and intentions that this doesn't happen. So as we can see, so many people are talking about this. So many towns completely in the dark. This is the thing that's really been hitting me. And this is why right now, while we can and while we're physically able to and technologically able to, we're going to cover as much for you as we can possibly do. Because literally we might be cut off from you in just a matter of, days, weeks, or months. I do think it's coming. It is coming. We're going to be in a period where and this is the hard part, you're not going to know what's going on. And so this is why also it's so important to have that daily spiritual practice. Daily spiritual practice. Develop the abilities that are coming back online. They are coming back online, as you see the incomings here. We're going to be able to communicate telepathically with each other. Cindy and I do all the time.
Well, we were just doing it this morning on the video before this. Mike asked me something about what was going on, in our cosmos. And then I sat quiet for a moment and I got a vision. And he says, well, is it because of this galactic wave, blah, 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 ascension, blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what I was looking at, analyzing. So, it can be fun. I think we're getting there. We are definitely a species that needs to heal before we can read each other's thoughts too clearly. But it's happening.
It really is happening. So as you see this report, main power line cut. This is not good. And Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe. This is really all about, it's about just control. It's simply about control. And it's simply about keeping humans trapped in this same system that we're in right now. So, again, rise up and out of the system. Do not become like the controllers. And it's interesting as well that Russia was talking about this. That's something else we're going to go into in another video, because I want to keep these short. And we do have clientele coming up that we will be seeing throughout the day too. So we do the videos as we can, because we just want to, again, let you guys know what's going on, give you our take on it, and give you messages coming from fifth and sixth density from our guides, which in many cases, are your guides too. Again, at the higher levels, there is none of this dogmatic distinction between this and that. It's much more understood that there's one consciousness that is exploring all of creation from so many different angles. But at the same time, here we are, and you can see the damage here from last night's shelling. Russia does acknowledge, they say massive strikes. They're saying these were massive strikes, because Russia's been getting hit with nonstop barrages of drones as well. They're going deeper and deeper into Russian territory and taking more Russian lives. Russia has been really, truly pushed up to the brink, but this is all part of the system. The Islamic people are being pushed to the very brink with what's going on in Gaza. That's completely why it's happening. So Russia made a statement too that they've declared war. They've said, okay, gloves are off. We've now declared war. And you might say, well, wait a minute. They went and they invaded back in February of 2022. Again, coinciding, going along exactly with that Pluto return. They followed the astrology. All the global leadership, they all follow the astrology, because the astrology is the programming. We have to understand that. And yet we'll get the very, very naive statements. Well, isn't astrology evil and of Satan? Well, that's to keep you from understanding what they understand. That is exactly why they put fear into this. Well, Ouija, tarot. What's wrong with tarot cards and pictures that tune into help some people tune into the global consciousness so they could get impressions of what's coming. Again, governments hire and have remote viewers on staff all the time. They just don't want you being able to do what they can do. That's how they maintain control. This is why they put that fear out there and have, people of the fundamentalist mindset looking at everything like it's fallen angels, because they don't want you to understand that you're really being controlled by extraterrestrials and interdimensionals. But you're on their farm planet. This is what they've done. They've taken over a planet. They utilize it as a farm, and you're part of the cattle. That's the real harsh reality of the situation. But the gates being opened by the true creator of this universe and by the beings on the higher densities, the gates being open for us to leave. So, again, we can leave. We don't leave by becoming like they are. We leave by rising above it. But first you have to survive too physically. But even if you don't survive physically, holding your frequency is still more important. And that's what people that don't understand, that there is no real death. You just walk through the door of consciousness from one perception to another perception.
Well, I think it's important to remember our cells, they are programmed to want to live. So that's important. So survival, that's like number one when we're here in the 3D. We want to survive. But what I think a lot of people look past is the importance of a spiritual program and the importance of prayer or meditation, call it what you will, but that spiritual aspect of you is so critical to get us through these times. There's nothing wrong with pulling out tarot cards to give you guidance for the day. Sometimes people are so traumatized that they cannot tap into those other layers of energy. But these tarot cards, and I've seen it time and time and time and time again, they are spot on. And it's because there's another extra force working on the outside of you. And yeah, these controllers, they want you to think that all of that stuff is evil and it's bad and you're going to burn in hell for eternity and forever. Yeah, because they use it all the time. They just, to them, it's like breathing. They understand it. What the controllers learn and what we learn are two totally different ways of understanding. And that's starting to get out into the mainstream finally. Now, all people need to do is understand it a little bit and believe it and integrate their own natural abilities.
Absolutely. So, yes, I do think that they're going to do something that looks like it might be some sort of limited NUKE exchange, probably using rods of God and other technologies. I think the Beirut blast was a test, and we might see Beirut blast size blasts in many, many places, throughout NATO and the U.S. This is why we have been warning, don't be near a prime target and try to get out of the cities as much as possible. But you can put up your own shields where you are. There's always miracles that happened in wartime scenarios where they find people in places and somehow they survived and they're amazed and they don't know how they possibly could have survived, but they did. And it's because of their frequency. And it's simply because you do have angels that are looking to protect you and throw their wings over you and protect you in the most dire of circumstances. But you have to ask. This is the key. And of course, what do they get? They train us to ask them instead of asking for our own guides, our own angels, our own protectors that are out there. And those protectors might be of a totally different tradition than you grew up with, and that's a big reveal, because again, the light never fights against the light per se. over dogmatic things. No, they all work together. They're not jealous of each other. That's the controller mentality. It's all based on ego and fear, and the solar plexus chakra. That's when you look to this statue of Baphomet, and the Ida and the Pingala that are represented on that statue stop at the solar plexus. They're stopping you before you can go up into your higher facilities, is what they're telling you. They're keeping you in a much lower fight or flight reality, which is the only way they could control you. So again, rise above, realize that you are an eternal being having a temporary human experience. And in many cases, you guys are here. You are basically angels coming and taking the incarnation to try to awaken those that are truly sleeping.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.